Today's verse of the day, 1 Corinthians chapter 16, verse 13. Be on your guard, stand in firm faith, be courageous, and be strong. On your journey, you're gonna be faced with different obstacles, different circumstances where it's gonna test your capabilities, and it's gonna test your ability to be able to withstand it and go through the process and be strong, because some things are going to test you physically, mentally, spiritually. You have to be confident and courageous enough to pursue something that you have never pursued before, because that's uncertainty. You don't know whether it's going to work or not, but you know that with God, anything is possible. So if you have faith in the higher up and you're willing to take that first step and continue to take the steps through the process and not give up, 9 times out of 10 you will seek that success. But who knows? Everything happens for a reason. But nonetheless, bottom line, you will have built up a courageous and ambitious and strong, human nature about yourself, characteristics towards you. You adding those characteristics and those traits to yourself. So now you might not see the success, but now you've set the example for your predecessor, the person that's behind you, to follow up and pursue that same goal. And they're going to approach it with the same exact routine and process that you had, because they saw you do it. You're setting an example for the next person behind you. So be courageous, be strong, be fearless in the journey, because that's how you get the result. Otherwise, you're going to, if you're fearful and you're not courageous, you're weak and you're not strong, then you're not going to get anywhere near the desired result that you're trying to seek. It's going to take some hard work. It's going to take some early mornings and long nights. It's going to take a lot of effort to get the desired result. It's going to take something out of you. You got to sacrifice what you have now to be willing to gain what you're trying to get. With that being said, let's get to the charts. All right, what's good, you guys? Here we have the Monday chart loaded up on the SPY. Ticker symbol SPY, 5-minute time frame. Monday was a good start. We had some initial rejections come in from the 672 level. From 672, we rejected going back down into 669, and we were pretty much bouncing between those two levels from 8:30 all the way till about early afternoon at 12 p.m. From there, we saw some rejections start to come in once we retested 669 or 670, and we had a sharp breakdown back below orb low, going back from 670 all the way down to 664. I'm sorry. So my entry that I initially took was actually here at 12 o'clock. Once we got this candle closure below orb low, but we were range bound between this level. We saw about 10% here. We took the baby trims, but we initially stopped out this play once we got this reversal candle here. But as soon as I saw this candle close right back below the EMA, I immediately re-entered, and I caught the re-entry from here all the way back down to 665. And that's where I ended up taking profits at on this play. We did end up going a lot lower, back down to 662, closing the day out at 665. But they tried to fake me out on this EMA here, and I noticed that. So I paid attention to that for the rest of the week. I was like, let me make sure I don't allow them to fake me out of any plays this week, because it seems like that's the type of week we're gonna have. And sure enough, it was. I'll get into that later. But that was Monday's charts. Let's move on to Tuesday. All right, y'all, here we have the Tuesday chart loaded up on the SPY charts. So today, on that day, we opened in the 660 range, and we were failing to hold above 664, but I was looking to take calls initially off the open. Once I saw we were kind of holding above 660, but then shortly after we failed 660 and I ended up stopping out. Then I took a re-entry once we got a retest of 660 right around this EMA and VWAP level as well. I saw 3 continuous candles of failure. So I said, cool, I'm gonna take position here. I actually took it on the second position, but then the third one was confirmation for me, because I said, okay, we're holding below 660. So as we held below 660, we simply trailed back down lower, and we pushed new all-time lows where I ended up taking profit. And then from there we got reversed, and the market reversed and went back into 660, reclaiming it, filling back below it, and then reclaiming it again, and closing the day out at 660 on the dot. So that was Tuesday. Let's move on to Wednesday. Subscribe now. Make sure you're subscribed. Here we have the Wednesday chart loaded up. As you guys see, we opened at 660, bouncing off 660 immediately, going back all the way into 667. And then from 667, we saw a reversal back down to 660 and below. We actually went to 658.75. But before we got there, I ended up taking a position once I saw confirmation rejections come in back below that orb level of the day, which was 663, and also below the EMA. So we got a position in here, and we took it. Actually, no, we caught it right here because it was showing a trend downward, and it had like a bear flag formation setting up, and I had a stop loss set above this EMA cloud on the 5-minute, but on the 15-minute chart, the EMA was actually in this range that it reached, which was 662.6. So we got there on the 15-minute. I saw the immediate failure come right back in once we had the candle closure here. So from here to here, we had this candle reclaim the downside move immediately, and that gave me conviction to hold a lot longer. We saw profit down here. We took some profit off, and then from there, I just had a tight stop loss adjusted all the way back above this 5-minute EMA once again. Because if we failed to go lower here, then in my mind that we wouldn't have saw a continuation lower, because we reclaimed that level once again. You can do it one time, but you can't do it twice. If you do it twice, then that means it's probably cooked. So we ended up failing it and going back down to 658.75, where we then saw a reversal back above the EMA, and then we pushed a little bit higher, but came back down later in the day, and we ended up closing the day out at 662.7. So Wednesday was a pretty easy day. It tried to fake us out once again like it did on Monday, but we ended up holding through that fake out, and we caught the initial move that we were looking to catch. So pretty cool day on Wednesday. Let's move on to Thursday, which is where things got crazy. So just to give you guys some context on Thursday, what took place before the Thursday session, we had NVIDIA earnings reports Wednesday afternoon, and they reported their earnings, and they beat their earnings reports and had a good call. And so the market gapped up, and the market went from 662 back to 672. So we opened the day at 673 essentially, and then from 673 we retested 675, and we saw some reversal come in initially from 675, but then we reclaimed the EMA and the orb high and pushed back above the orb high, going back into the same level of 675. I was watching it to take at this moment, but I was also super duper busy, so I wasn't watching it from a space where I can, focus on it intentionally. But I was watching it to take like a quick scalp, nothing crazy. I didn't think it was gonna be a crazy downside move. My target, if I did get in, was gonna be roughly around 672 to 670, somewhere around there. But that's not what ended up happening. What ended up happening was we retested 675 once again, okay? And, we had a normal reversal at first. And then things started to get really aggressive, like super aggressive, because within 3 candles, we have 1 candle, 2 candle, 3, 4. Within 4 candles, we saw back down to 671, and volume was continuing to ramp up, as you guys see at the bottom of the red candles. We failed the orb low. We retested it a little bit around the orb low, closer to the EMA, which is where I would have took entry at. But at this very, very particular time, I was super duper busy. I had no time to look at this chart. But we retested the EMA, and we saw a rejection from that level of 672 back down to 671, and then from there we went to 670, which is where we then ended up closing below 670, and then we just took off. We immediately just dumped dump after dump, and we just rolled all the way back down. It doesn't even fit on my screen how low this went. This went all the way down to 653. So we opened the day at 673 and we went down to 653. So a $20 move in one day, which is, you know, not normal for for the market that we've been having. We have not experienced that as of late. So that was a very aggressive move to the downside. So we ended up catching the very, very late end of this play. I mean, super late. We actually initially tried to catch calls here because it was due for a reversal, in my opinion. And we were testing the level of demand that was somewhat important. We saw a little bit of a bounce, but the problem with this trade in particular was that my contracts did not move that much. I think it was just the overload of puts that kind of devalued the contracts of the calls, but we did see a move up because we got in literally right at 660, and then we stopped out once it closed back below 660. And it was doing a lot of wicking around here. We did see some reversals come back into the market, but then we saw another rejection back below 660, which is where I ended up taking a position because I saw that it was still failing the levels. So the same level I got in calls that I ended up getting in puts once I saw the reclaim of 660 and the immediate failure of 660. I just used the last candle here as a stop loss, and we pretty much saw it right back to the downside, and we pushed this new low back into 653. So we made money on the day after we took this re-entry of 660 failure. But that 660 reclaim, that 660 bounce was the initial trade that I wanted to take to see if we can bounce back up to the EMA, which we ended up doing kind of, but again, the contract value didn't move as much as I thought it would. So that was Thursday. Thursday was a crazy, crazy day. That was probably the craziest day of the week, if not the month. Let's move on to Friday. All right, you guys, and here we have the Friday charts loaded up on the SPY, ticker symbol SPY, 5-minute time frame. Friday was okay. It wasn't too crazy. We had OPEX, which is the options expiration day, where futures, options contracts, and just a lot of expirations for different indices are expiring. So a lot of liquidation was happening this day. And given the day we had Thursday, you didn't really know what to expect going into Friday. So we opened in the same zone around 650, 55, and we had a tight range bound between 656 and 654. I saw initial failure coming in every time we kept retesting 656, and so I waited for a confirmation of downside movement. I saw that the EMA was starting to play in our favor, and so right around 9 o'clock I took a position below the orb low, and we were wicking down below orb low and showing new lows, but we weren't going to my target. My target was initially 650 to 651, and we were seeing 653, 652.50, things like that, but we had a very sharp bounce come back in from 652.30 back above the orb low, closing at 655.10, and I did the same thing. I used my 15-minute EMA as my stop loss because I saw that that's where it was at initially, and so it tried to fake us out again. We held through the fake out once again. It was pretty crazy, I'm not gonna lie. I just used that orb high as a stop loss because I had to kind of give it a little bit of breathing room to take off, and so from there we saw an immediate reversal back down once again below the orb, closing out at 653 again, and that gave me complete conviction and confidence in this trade going in my favor, and I used that. I then moved my stop loss down back to the orb low if we reclaim orb low once again, because like I said, you can do it one time, but you can't do it twice. If you do it twice, 9 times out of 10 you're cooked. So we got the closure back below the orb low, and shortly after that we saw a deeper pullback down to 651.4. I took profits there, which was a great price to take profits at, because we then ended up seeing another reversal back to the orb low, which I could have took a position for again, but I ended up trying to take some calls here, like a baby position on some calls, and it did reverse on me again. But my idea was right because, like I said, if we did it one time, 9 times out of 10 it's not gonna happen, but the second time it's possible to happen. So I took the calls in regards to the possible reversal and the possible reversal that we could get, back above the orb. And sure enough, we ended up getting it. I was just a little too early to it. We had to break, fake me out again. And instead of me getting faked out to the downside, I got faked out to the upside. So look at surprise about that. We literally stopped out right here, and then the candles ended up reversing here, and we pushed all the way back into 660, where we then saw some reversals come in after we hit 661, and then we got a reversal back down. The orb high saw another bounce back above 660 and pushed all the way to 664, where we ended up closing the day out at about closed it out at 659.87. So that was Friday's trading. Very easy session for the most part. It was a little tricky at first, but you just had to be patient and wait it out and see what the market wanted to do. When we got the confirmation of what the market wanted to do, we took advantage of it. So that was the week's trading. Overall, good week. Same thing applies to this week as well. Pattern recognition is everything. You know, the market's going to try to, even the manipulation patterns, you got to pay attention to the way the market tries to manipulate you in you selling your position. You have to be willing to hold through that manipulation, and once you hold through the manipulation, it gives you confidence in taking your trades and adding size to your trades, even possibly. So let's move on to next week and what we can look to expect going into this coming week. All right, you guys, here we have the SPY chart loaded up on the 4-hour time frame. What a week we had. Like I said, going into that Thursday session, you guys see this ginormous candle here, fully engulfing the last week of trading. I mean, it was just insane. We gapped up to not all time highs, but we gapped back up above a demand level of 670, failing 675, and just pushing all the way back down to 650. What a crazy day. That kind of set the tone for what can possibly happen going forward. Mind you, be mindful, we do have we have a shorter trading week this week, given that it's Thanksgiving week and also Black Friday. I believe Black Friday is a half day, and I believe Thursday the market will be closed. So Monday through Wednesday will really be the only days we can, maximize our value in trading. Even then, the possible price action might not be too well. So just be mindful of those things going into this week. But with that being said, we are forming, lower lows and, a downsizing trend. This all-time demand zone, though, however, is where we're at currently. So as you guys see, the 650 level, we retested and we bounced immediately back from 650, pushing back into 664.5. But we then saw some rejections coming from 664.5. So we're starting to move lower and lower each time we have retested these levels and failed them. Now we're closing below 660, which is what we've been holding for the longest. If we can continue to close below 660, and if we can retest 650 and get a failure below 650, we can see lower below 650. My targets below 650 are 646 and 640. But realistically, that 646 level is not a major demand. 640 is more so the major demand level. So we could see 640 soon after we hit 646 once we get the failure. But if we can continue to hold 650, we can see possible reversals come in here and push back higher. We just have to break these previous highs and go even higher. So now our level that we need to break, in my opinion, is going to be 665. If we can push above 665, we can see a reclaim of our demand, and then we can break this trend if we get back above 676. But in the meantime, be mindful that we could be going lower. I'm not sure about this week. It might just be a range bound week where we just range between 665 and 650. But if we do fail 650, we can't see lower. So these are my opinions going into this week. Be mindful of those things. Like I said, we have Thanksgiving week, and it is going to be a shorter week. But comment below how you guys did in the market. Did you guys make money in the market? Did you guys lose money in the market? Did you guys not make anything? Just broke even? Let me know in the comments whether or not you guys did well in the market. And if you have any questions regarding trading, day trading, or investing, feel free to leave a comment on that as well. It's your boy CB. I am going to tune in with you guys next week. Hope you guys have a happy Thanksgiving and a great week. Make sure to tune in for my podcast, Rich Off Gains, tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. And I will see you guys in the next one. Stay safe. Continue to believe. I'll see you guys then. Peace.